I will talk about the sponsor of this video, Cloudways, fast, simple and reliable cloud hosting platform. You can host phenomenal websites on a managed platform built by digital agencies, developers and e-commerce businesses that are backed by 24/7 into 365 support. So we will talk about different plans of this hosting platform. So here are the plans. So the services offered by Cloudways is from various different platforms like DigitalOcean, Vultr, Linode, AWS, Google Cloud. So you can choose any plans from here basis on your requirement. So here are the plans. You can go to this part of this page and you can select your services, and you can also try it for free. Register Cloudways today. We have placed a link in the descriptions. Happy hosting.
How to set up DynamoDB and communicate with it through a Lambda. So let's get into it. So Amazon DynamoDB is a fast and flexible NoSQL database. Let's get started and create a table here. We're going to go ahead and just call this test table, primary key, first name, and we're going to have that be a string. And yeah, let's use the default settings. That's fine. We do not have the required role to enable auto scaling by default. That is okay. This is just a test, so we don't need auto scaling. Let's go ahead and create the DynamoDB table. Okay, so we gotta wait a minute. The table is being created. So one thing, if you go to capacity, by default they set the read capacity and write capacity to 5, and that actually increases your cost. So what you can do, you can either delete this at the end because it's just a test, or I would recommend, like, you could honestly just put it down to 1, and it saves like $2 a month. Go ahead and save. And I mean, really, if it's just a test and it's like just you using it, like having just one read and write, that's one thing I don't like about Amazon. Sometimes they're a little bit sneaky, like they sneak in, like you really don't need 5 read and write capacity for something that you're just testing out, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to manually input an item. So we're going to go create item, and we're going to append a string. We're going to call this last name, and for first name we're just going to have Bob and then Smith as a last name. We're going to go ahead and save, and we have one field entered, and if you want to go in and edit it, you just go actions, edit, and then you could go in and change it. So that's it. So you have a test table uploaded. What's important here is the region that you're in, so you want to make sure you know what region you're in. So this is US East 1, which is North Virginia. So now we're going to go over to the Lambda side. I have another tutorial where I showed how to hook up a Lambda with API gateway, so that's what this function is, and I'll link to that down below if you haven't set it up, but it's pretty straightforward. So it's just using Node. And so what we need to do is we need to use the AWS SDK. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And the cool thing with AWS SDK, it's already pre-installed in the Lambda environment, so you don't even need to npm install it. So AWS SDK. So now you need to set the actual configuration. So it has the right access key, secret access key in the region. So this is US East 1 that we're using, and we'll get the access key and the secret access key in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and set the database DynamoDB access, and this is using this API version. So I'll be sure to link the code down below as well. So now these are the parameters that we're going to use to access the value in our database table that we just created. So we call the table name test table, and we want to be able to pass in the first name, and this is being sent in through the API gateway. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to allow the user to input the first name, and it's going to return the last name stored in DynamoDB. So now we're going to implement the actual call to the DynamoDB. Basically, we're just checking to see if there's an error in the database call, so we'll output the error. So basically here we're just going to check to see if the item was returned, and we're just logging the success. And now what we want to do is we want to return the item. So this is going to be the response, and what we're going to do is we're going to return the data.item.lastname.s. So that's just the .s is just the string. And now we also want to have a false case, you know, user not found or something like that. And you can change the status code if you want it to be like a, you know, like a 400 or something. You can, but so that should be pretty much it. What we need to do next is we need to get the access key ID and the secret access key. Okay, so what you need to do for the keys is come over here, go to my security credentials, come down to access keys, and then go ahead and create new access keys. Your access key ID and secret access key has been created successfully. So I'm going to go ahead and download them. And you want to make sure not to lose these. I would back them up if you can, because if you lose these, you're basically going to have to rebuild all the services that use the current keys, especially when it comes to like an EC2 server. You won't be able to retrieve the keys. That's the, you know, it's a security issue if they would allow you to regenerate them. So, but you can always come in and generate new ones if you need to, but yeah, it's just good to have them. So let's go back to Lambda, go back to the function. What you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste in the keys. So once you have them pasted in, you're going to go ahead and save. Since this is an API gateway, I'm going to go ahead, and I have a tutorial link below to it. Basically, I'm going to come in and I need to redeploy this. I'm going to go ahead and redeploy it v1. So name equals so in order to return this, we need to put it into a variable here called let last name equals the data of last name, and then we need to stringify it before we return it. So that's the error we begin. So first of all, we needed to change out a few things. What we need to do is set return of the callback, and we do it for both line 43 and 55. And also up at the exports handler, we got rid of the async and we added context and callback, which is a more traditional way of how it's done. And if we do that, you pass in Bob, you get the last name Smith. If you pass in not Bob, you get user not found. So there it is. I'll link to the code below. Yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more content like this, subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.